sat there, literally doesn't care. Guys, I don't think you understand. Is that the...
Facing your greatest fears can be an almost unbearable experience. But what happens when that fear means clinging to the edge of a cliff on what many believe to be the most dangerous hike in the entire world? This is the story of one man's relentless and terrifying attempt to conquer a mountain that seemed determined to push him away at every step. A journey that blurs the fragile line between courage and recklessness. Ben Morris, a travel vlogger recognized for constantly testing his own limits, usually shares cultural exploration and adventure. This time, however, he set his sights on something far more extreme: the infamous Huashan plank walk in China. Alongside him was his friend Jamie, who shared his crippling fear of heights. Their mission appeared simple: finish the plank walk. But the mountain clearly had other intentions. Their journey began with an unsettling arrival in Xi'an. A heavy, ghostly fog blanketed the city, giving a chilling preview of what awaited higher up. With just 48 hours before their return flight, they chose to save the hike for the last day, a decision that would haunt the rest of their trip.
We thought we were going this way. Turns out it is closed in the winter.
It's closed in winter.
It's closed in winter.
It's closed.
We're trying to figure out how we get up the mountain without using the cable car. Very confused, we hopped in the 20-minute bus back down the mountain, then enlightened by the advice to just go back us.
You're not gonna open the store, bro.
No, shut up, stop, because it will open. Stop, please, Jamie. Look at this. Out the window, there is nothing. Oh my days, you can't see anything.
From the beginning, their plan began to fall apart. The walking route they intended to take was closed for the winter, forcing them onto a cable car that disappeared into a blinding white void.
At that. Oh my god. It's closed.
They were trying to open at 2 p.m, but they changed their mind because of the wind. So they're not going to open. And if you bought a ticket, they'll give you a...
We are literally the only two people at the top of this mountain.
Bear in mind as well, we have a flight home.
At the summit, they were met with crushing news. The plank walk was shut down due to dangerously strong winds. They stood alone at the top, surrounded by silence that felt almost endless.
I think we're getting closer to the top. It's also just started raining, which isn't great. This is a moment of truth. Please, for the love of God.
No.
The next rain is close. Can't believe this. I actually can't believe this. If we would have left like 20 minutes. What has happened? Why is there so many people here? It was closed. 2 days we come here now. Today open?
I don't know.
Oh,
It's closed though.
close?
The following day, they tried again, but heavy rain kept the path closed. On the third attempt, the skies finally cleared, yet the walkway remained shut because of slippery conditions from the storm. A local they encountered spoke cryptically, hinting that perhaps after several failures, the mountain itself might eventually allow them through.
We come today, yesterday, and day before. Tomorrow closed?
Tomorrow is maybe, I don't know.
It was a strange remark, one that sounded less like encouragement and more like a warning. A month later, Ben returned alone. This time the stakes were higher. He had just a 24-hour transit visa. If the walk was closed again, his entire journey would end in failure.
Wow, look how clear the sky is this time. Oh my god, it is absolutely freezing. Bad news is I only got given a 24-hour visa for China. Long story short, if the plank walk is closed today, and there is not much I can really do about that.
The skies were clear, but snow and ice coated the cliffs, making the climb more dangerous than ever. With no opportunities left, he pressed forward, determined to reach the planks no matter the cost. Finally, he arrived. The path was open. But there was another problem. Solo hikers weren't allowed. Rushing to find companions, he convinced a couple to join him, narrowly avoiding being turned away. Strapped into a harness, he stepped onto the narrow wooden planks bolted into the cliff face. Below was a vertical drop into nothingness. Every step was a fight against fear, the cold steel cable the only barrier between him and certain death. At one point, He descended into a section with no planks at all, only metal rungs hammered into rock.
I'm okay. Just a few thousand feet up with completely undone laces. About to walk over a fucking plank. Okay. Oh, knee out. If anything. Look what is sticking out of my back pocket. My passport. My passport was just sticking out of my jeans back pocket.
Then came a chilling discovery. His shoelaces had come completely undone. Even worse, after reaching solid ground, he realized his passport had been sticking out of his pocket the entire time. One wrong move from vanishing forever. Was it just a series of unlucky events, or was the mountain warning him to turn back? The repeated closures, the cryptic words, and the dangerous oversights all carried an unsettling sense of design. Ben Morris may have completed the Huashan plank walk, but it was far from a clean victory. It felt less like triumph, and more like barely escaping a fate that was closing in. Some believe the failures were nothing more than coincidence, a run of poor weather and bad timing. Others suggest the mountain itself tests climbers, throwing obstacles in their path until it decides they are ready, or until they surrender. Superstitious locals often speak of Huashan as if it has a spirit of its own, one that does not forgive arrogance. If a place seemed to resist every attempt you made to reach it, would you keep trying? Or take the warning that maybe you were never meant to be there? The YouTube channel 401 Files is known for sharing outdoor adventures, survival challenges, and occasional dives into the unexplained. But one particular trip into the wilderness took a much darker turn than any ordinary camping experience. The uploader set out into a dense forest, well prepared for a night beneath the stars. The chosen spot was deep in the woods, far from roads, houses, or any trace of civilization, making it the perfect place for a quiet and undisturbed camp.
Okay, so it's decision time. Decisions. I've come into this part of the wood now and it's mega dense. Like, I'm talking, there's a tree every 2 foot, kind of dense. And my thought process right now is tonight in here is going to be extremely dark. And if shit hits the fan, for whatever reason, I'm going to have to make my way out of these woods, which is going to be nigh on impossible. So, alternative 2 is I find another part of the wood where the trees are more widely spread apart, but then I've got the thing of I can see all around me 360 degrees for quite a distance, which is equally as scary in my opinion. But
the trees grew so tightly together that sunlight barely touched the ground. While the cover offered natural concealment, it also meant that if something went wrong in the middle of the night, escaping would be almost impossible. Nearby, there were more open areas, but those came with an equally unnerving reality. Standing in the open meant you could see everything, and everything could see you.
I've got all these little sticks to create the perimeter. I've got my fire there, my bike obviously. So I'm going to be sleeping here next to the fire, not too close though obviously, because I've got an inflatable mattress and I don't want that to blow up. One lesson I've always learned really helps is keep your firewood close to where you're sleeping, because the last thing you want to do is be getting up through the night when it's dark to try and put more fire on the more wood on the fire. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I'll give you another angle.
As camp was set up, the natural sounds of the forest filled the air. Birds calling, leaves rustling, the occasional cry of a distant animal. But once the sun slipped behind the horizon, that life seemed to drain away. The forest grew heavy, still, and almost suffocating in its silence. With a fire built and sleeping gear in place, the isolation felt peaceful at first. But soon that peace began to unravel. It started with faint sounds in the distance. The snap of a twig, the soft rustle of undergrowth just beyond the tree line. At first, it was easy to dismiss them as the movements of small animals. But as the minutes passed, the noises grew sharper, more intentional. Something was out there, and it was getting closer. Then, without warning, a scream tore through the woods. It wasn't an owl, and it wasn't the cry of a fox. It was deeper.
I need to think of all the animals that could potentially be living in the same area as me, walking about, doing their own thing, so then I just don't jump to paranormal or mysterious type things. So yeah, that's always something to be wary about, is who else is living in this wood other than me. But yeah, I'll keep you posted. It's going to be dark soon, maybe within the next hour and a half, 2 hours. So yeah.
Disturbingly human, yet off in a way that defied explanation. The unnatural edge in the sound sent chills racing down his spine. Grabbing a flashlight, he swept the beam across the trees. Nothing. Only the tall, motionless silhouettes and a wall of darkness. But minutes later, the scream erupted again. This time much closer. It almost sounded deliberate, as though something wanted to lure him deeper into the forest. The tension was unbearable. With no way to identify the source, he made the choice not to investigate. Instead, he sealed himself inside the tent, hoping the thin fabric walls would provide some comfort. Sleep never came. Every rustle, every faint movement outside sent a fresh jolt of fear through him. Hours dragged on until a new sound emerged. Something was moving just outside the tent. The steps were slow, deliberate, calculated. It wasn't the careless wandering of an animal. Some suggested it could have been an animal mimicking human sounds. Others believe it was far more sinister, perhaps tied to local legends of strange figures that haunt the forest. If you were alone in the woods and heard footsteps circling your tent in the middle of the night, would you confront it? Or would you wait until daylight to find out what was there?
Wow, it's a good job I know what the hell that is. Because I would be shitting my pants right now had I not come across that sound before. It's a female fox, a vixen. But to anybody else who doesn't know what that is, it's a woman brutally getting murdered in the middle of the woods.
Uploaded on January 16, 2025 by the YouTube channel Jensen Matilda, this video was intended to capture a thrilling jungle adventure, but instead, it became one of the most terrifying ordeals of their lives. The journey began in Chitwan National Park in Nepal, a place renowned for its incredible biodiversity, thick jungles, and breathtaking scenery. The couple, guided by their escort Dennis, first embarked on a canoe ride down a river infested with crocodiles, before setting out on a trek deep into the dense forest. From the beginning, there was already an uneasy sense of danger. Dennis explained that everyone entering or leaving the park must be reported to the army, a regulation that revealed just how threatening the jungle could be. The canoe ride itself was nerve-wracking. The riverbanks were lined with enormous crocodiles, some basking in the sunlight, others floating just below the surface, their sharp teeth glinting in the water. It was unsettling, but this was only a preview of what lay ahead. Once they stepped off the boat, the real danger began. Their guide warned them about wild animals, especially tigers and rhinos, and emphasized the importance of never staying in one spot for too long.
In the jungle.
Anyway, I'm gonna let you know for the Chiton National just certain time. Otherwise tiger come. Not to stay in the one place, it's long. They smell us and then come. They smell it.
Okay.
So okay. So now you are right in the Chiton.
We knew we needed to get as far into the bush as we could, and at this point we had no idea where Dennis was. We had absolutely no idea who Ronaldo was. Is Dennis okay? Dennis, is he okay? We sat in this bush for a total of 18 minutes.
Remaining still, he explained, could give predators time to lock on to them. The group moved carefully, single file through the thick undergrowth.
The elephant was in complete stealth
The
mode.
silence shattered. A loud, heavy sound shook the air, far too powerful to belong to any small creature.
Our guide explained
It
how
was a
clever
wild
these animals
elephant,
are, and it was
charging
more than
directly at
likely
them.
waiting for us to come
Panic
out of
broke
that
out
bush.
instantly. The group scattered into the brush, desperately seeking cover.
With no clear
In
view
this
of the
part of the
elephant
world,
and still not
wild
knowing where
elephants
Dennis
are
was,
anything
we
but
needed a
gentle.
plan.
They are known to be dangerously aggressive, especially when feeling threatened or defending territory. The couple crouched low in the dense vegetation, separated from their guide and unaware of his whereabouts. They sat in tense silence, waiting. For nearly 18 minutes, they could not see the elephant, but they could sense it moving quietly nearby. Its steps were disturbingly measured, almost as though it was stalking them. Later, Dennis explained that wild elephants are highly intelligent, capable of waiting patiently for intruders to reappear before striking. This meant the animal was likely close, listening and watching.
It's been head on with a wild elephant. I'm really scared.
So the elephant is now walking all the way down there. We didn't even get through the safety briefing before we was running. I cannot believe it.
We're now behind him, which is behind that one. Elephants, wild ones. Unpredictable. Don't ask me why I'm still filming. We're with one of the guides. Oh, mate.
Oh, I can't feel.
Right.
Where's Dennis?
Yeah, where's Dennis? I either tried to detour the elephant or he's abandoned ship. I don't know. Who knows?
Whoa.
There it is.
Big tusks.
Big tusks.
Frozen in place, they knew any sudden movement could expose them. Finally, after almost 20 minutes of unbearable tension, Dennis re-emerged, signaling that the danger had passed. The elephant had moved on. Shaken but unharmed, the couple realized just how close they had come to disaster. A few seconds slower, and the elephant could have trampled them where they stood. Despite the encounter, they continued with the trek, but now with sharpened awareness of every sound and movement around them.
Deer. You can see it.
Deer! Just seconds before we saw the deer running across the road, we'd learnt the fact that deers usually run from something. That something, you guessed it, tigers. Chitwan National Park homes 128 Bengal tigers.
Soon after, they spotted deer sprinting across the path. Dennis explained that in Chitwan, deer often flee from predators, and in these jungles, the predator is most often a tiger. Chitwan is home to 128 Bengal tigers. And while the couple had entered the park seeking a bucket list adventure, they left with a lasting respect for its dangers. What began as an exciting wilderness journey had become a life-threatening brush with death. This encounter highlights the unpredictability of wild elephants, which can sometimes display behavior more often associated with predators. Some wildlife experts suggest that in areas frequented by humans, elephants develop an awareness of human patterns and intentionally use stealth to confront perceived threats. Others argue it was simply a territorial reaction. The group had crossed paths with the wrong elephant at the wrong time. So, if you found yourself deep in the jungle with a wild elephant silently waiting just beyond sight, would you stay hidden until it passed, or risk moving and possibly walk straight into its path? Meet Eric, the creator of the Nomadic Fanatic YouTube channel. Best known for his relaxed RV lifestyle and the company of his two cats, Tara and Opie, Eric often documents the quieter joys of life on the road. But in July 2022, one camping trip unfolded in a way he never anticipated.
And I rolled into my campsite and noticed that several of my things were moved, like my chair and my tripod, and people were setting up camp in my campsite. Bad at confrontation, just so you guys know, but my tripod, that was where they're putting their tent and blocking me in, and then they got a four-wheeler and a cooler. Apparently they just had to camp right on top of me in my actual campsite here. Then in front of my RV, you got these three boys setting up their tent right in front of my RV also. So when I rolled in, I was a little frustrated at what I saw because they even had a vehicle kind of blocking the entrance into where my RV was at. But I got out of the car and I think my exact words are, "Wow, you guys just had to just camp right on top of me where I'm camping in my personal site? And they said, oh, it's too full everywhere else. I said, well, it got really full here. You moved my camping chair and my tripod and you just set up camp in my camp. Oh, well, you know, we're going to be here for the weekend. There's nowhere else to go. Common sense is definitely not common anymore, by the way.
He had planned for a peaceful stop at a familiar campsite. Yet upon arrival, it was clear something wasn't right. Several of his belongings, including a chair and tripod, had been moved. Even worse, a group of strangers had claimed his reserved space, setting up their own camp directly in front of his RV. Their vehicle was parked in a way that blocked part of his access. Despite the intrusion, they showed no apology and insisted there were no other available sites. Eric usually avoids confrontation, but this situation tested his patience. The noise, the disrespect, and the blatant disregard for boundaries made it impossible to relax.
The really messed up part about it is I'm so bad at confrontations that I don't even know how to leave if I wanted to. Like, what would I do? How would I say it? Would I just not talk to him, hook up the car, and just pack up? It's okay, Opie.
Niggas, I'm the quarterback. Mothership in peace. I stay like when they on attack.
Well, I'm glad that was a fun teaching moment for that family of a-holes. Hey kids, if we get here late and people are already set up, just set up on top of them and make as much noise as possible, be as rude as possible, because that's what camping's all about.
Still, instead of escalating things, he made the decision to quietly pack up and leave before nightfall, uncertain how the night might have played out if he stayed. That choice may have saved him. The following day, disturbing news broke. One of the campers who had overtaken his site had gone missing. Hours later, their body was discovered at the bottom of a nearby cliff. Authorities confirmed the individual had suffered fatal injuries in a fall and had not been wearing a helmet. Though the group's behavior was inconsiderate, no one could have predicted such a tragic outcome. Eric had no involvement, but the incident served as a chilling reminder of how quickly things can spiral in the wilderness. To this day, it's unclear what drove the camper to the cliffside, or whether the fall was an accident or something more complex. Was it recklessness, intoxication, or just a moment of poor judgment? We may never know. What is certain is that Eric's instinct to leave when he did may have kept him from being pulled into something far worse. Have you ever dealt with aggressive or disrespectful campers? Would you have stayed and confronted the issue? Or left, as Eric chose to do? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And always remember, the wild isn't as calm or predictable as it may seem. Ugur Haliloglu is a YouTube channel loved for its calm, detailed camping experiences, often highlighting quiet moments in nature, simple meals by the fire, and peaceful escapes shared with his wife, Sezen. For more than a decade, the couple has journeyed deep into the wild, embracing the kind of stillness and beauty most people overlook. But on one off-grid trip in 2024, their long experience in the outdoors was suddenly put to the test. What began as another relaxing evening beneath the stars quickly turned into something far more unsettling.
Duyuyor musun baykuşu?
Duyuyorum.
They had chosen a remote clearing, far from any road or trail. With their off-road camper parked beneath an open sky and a ring of dark trees surrounding them, the setting seemed perfect. As the sun slipped below the horizon, a sense of comfort and calm settled in. The fire snapped and crackled as they cooked dinner, the smell of grilled vegetables blending with the earthy night air. It was exactly the kind of night they loved most. Slow, simple, and completely undisturbed.
Of. Acı biber.
Sana mı denk geldi? Uğur bir şey.
Kaç.
Uğur aç kapıyı.
Geç karına.
Geç. Duydun değil mi?
Duydum dur.
Then, without warning, the calm shattered. A sudden, sharp noise rang out from the woods, loud and close, as if it came from just beyond the tree line. There had been no build-up, no footsteps, no rustling, no approach. Just one abrupt, jarring sound that cut through the silence like a blade.
Kaç.
Startled, the couple froze. Then instinct took over. They abandoned everything by the fire and rushed into their camper. Inside, the quiet returned, but it was no longer comforting. It felt heavier now, almost as if something unseen was watching. They whispered to one another, trying to make sense of it. Could it have been a bear? A person? The forest gave away nothing.
Uğur çok korkuyorum.
Kimsin?
Uğur uzaklaşma.
Ses ver.
Uğur lütfen içeri gel.
Tamam toplayayım şuraya da geleyim aşkım.
Then hours.
Yaklaşıyor gibi.
No more
Yok
sounds
aşkım,
followed.
kaçtım.
No footsteps. No movement.
Neyse.
Whatever had been there was either gone or waiting. Outside, the night carried on as though nothing had happened. But for Ugur and Season, the atmosphere had completely shifted. The laughter and ease from earlier were gone. What remained was unease, tension, and questions without answers. They stayed locked inside until morning, speaking quietly and keeping their eyes on the dark windows. Whatever had caused the noise never returned, but the memory lingered. With no clear explanation, it's impossible to know what disrupted their night. Was it a wild animal startled by the fire? A person who shouldn't have been there? Or something else entirely? The suddenness of the sound, and the complete silence that followed, left nothing but speculation. Viewers of the video have debated ever since. Some believe it was a human presence, possibly even someone lurking in the woods. Others are convinced it was wildlife. But one thing is clear. Experienced campers like Ugur and Sezen do not react so strongly without real reason. What do you think happened in that forest? Have you ever heard a noise so sudden and unexplained that it made you question if you were truly alone? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't go anywhere, because in the very next story, a sound from deep in the wilderness will challenge everything you thought you knew about what's possible. Western Nowhere is not your average YouTube channel. It doesn't rely on jump scares or viral gimmicks. Instead, it focuses on the raw, often isolating reality of true wilderness exploration. Led by Oliver, the channel takes viewers into the forgotten corners of the American Southwest, places where history, nature, and solitude meet in hauntingly beautiful ways. In this video, Oliver sets out alone on a high-altitude trek, climbing above 10,000 feet in search of the remains of an ancient hunting camp. But as the forest thickens, the silence begins to feel less comforting. Something else seems to take its place among the trees. The hike began like so many others, quiet, deliberate, surrounded by towering pines and rocky terrain. But the deeper Oliver moved, the more the woods seemed to resist him. The first sign came as a faint knock, distant, almost easy to dismiss, then another. The sounds shifted with him, never settling in one place for long.
I mean, if that thing fell on your head, it would more than ruin your day. My hope is that I get out of this forest without having anything like that happen. I don't know if you could hear that, but this forest seems to be crumbling all around me. More than half of the trees are dead, and I keep thinking I'm hearing knocking or like an axe, someone splitting wood. And it's knocking behind me and knocking ahead of me. So it's almost like, where do you go where it's safe?
They echoed with the rhythm of someone chopping wood, yet came from both directions, ahead and behind. The trail itself was rough, littered with fallen logs and unstable debris. But the real weight pressing in was something unseen. The knocking persisted, sometimes joined by a strange, almost melodic wailing that drifted through the trees. The wind rattled the branches, and the forest groaned with its usual creaks. But there was a pattern in these noises, something deliberate. They circled him, never closing in, but never truly fading either. He tried to explain it away. The wind, maybe elk.
What is that singing sound? It's like coming in front of me and behind me. Is that the wind blowing through the trees? Oh, it's like 4 or 5 people wailing. Tell me you hear that. I hope my mic is picking that up.
But deep down, the unease grew. The noises weren't random. They carried a rhythm, as if something intelligent was making them.
I don't know if I'm gonna include this in the video. My throat's really dry. Because I'm not one to kind of believe in the supernatural, but I'm trying to get the goosebumps to go away. I'm not terrified, I'm just creeped out.
At one point, Oliver noticed that gusts of wind no longer triggered the same noises. He wondered aloud if this was why people believe in Bigfoot, not because of what they see, but because of what they hear and can't explain.
See, right there is a strong wind gust, and that's when it should coincide, but I didn't hear it. And I've sat through a few wind gusts, and I don't hear it anymore. At all wind speeds, at all wind speeds, I don't know if the mic picked that up, but I could see why people believe in Bigfoot. There's some weird sounds out here. I don't believe it's Bigfoot. I'm just trying to get to the mystery of it as to why they all make the same sound.
Still, he pressed on toward the ridgeline. Eventually, he found what he had come for. Crude stone structures, walls, and markers built long ago by those who once survived in this unforgiving place. The ruins told a story of people who chose isolation over community, survival over comfort. Near one of the stone outcrops, he found signs of more recent presence, animal skulls and a makeshift snare. The forest was still alive, still claimed by something, but just as the journey seemed to reach its peak, it ended abruptly. His dog Max had brushed against poison oak, forcing them to turn back. Still, Oliver had achieved his mission. He had found the camp. But the questions it stirred lingered long after he left the trail. The knocking, the wailing, the unnatural way sound moved through the trees. Was it simply wind carried through dying trunks? Was it an animal hidden just out of sight? Or was it something older, tied to the ruins he uncovered? Many explorers believe the land holds memory, and that some places resist intruders in ways we cannot explain. So what do you think? Was it wildlife, weather, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Because in places this remote, what you hear can be far more important than what you see. And with that, we turn to a different story. One from Roaming Reckless, where the forest doesn't whisper, it warns.
That's it for tonight. Which moment creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story? Share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.